How to improve fertility naturally, only common sense tips. Welcome back to my channel. If you start researching fertility online and how to improve it naturally, there will be millions of results. Some of it makes sense, some of it is worth trying, and some of it is outright crazy or pure witchcraft. So today I will share with you what worked for me when it comes to fertility. I am currently pregnant with my second child, and also what makes sense from the nutritional and lifestyle perspective. All right, so let's start with the most obvious one, and that is alcohol consumption. And I'm not talking about getting drunk to the point of blacking out too often. That is not good for anybody and for any reason. I am talking about drinking alcohol casually, things like having a couple glasses of wine with your dinner a couple times a week, or maybe going out for a happy hour with your friends and coworkers after a tough day at work a few times a month. Now, if you look at it from the yearly perspective, that can easily add up, and that amount of alcohol is not good for your fertility, both men and women. So if you are planning to get pregnant, give yourself a year with no alcohol. Cut it all out. Not even a little bit of alcohol. If you really have to have it, or you are pressured to it, maybe have a few sips on your own birthday or maybe on the New Year's Eve, things like that, but not more than that. Let me tell you this, your fertility will be thankful to you, and this is something I did in preparation of getting pregnant myself. And while we are talking about alcohol, oftentimes smoking is mentioned along with alcohol in the same sentence, and I don't think I have to say it to anybody, but in case I do, don't smoke. In fact, if you do smoke, quit it, not just for fertility, but for all other reasons. Your body will be thankful to you, and fertility as well. Next one on my list is stress. However, it is unreasonable for me to tell you avoid stressful situations, because in today's world it is impossible to avoid stress. So it is not about avoiding stressful situations, but having strategies to deal with stress and being able to take it out of your body and out of your mind. So some of the things I do is I love acupuncture for stress. I love aimless walking, 20 minutes of walking for the sake of walking. I do all kind of breathing exercises, and sometimes I like to get on my biomat, which mimics negatively charged electrons from the earth, and that takes out stress pretty well as well. In the season, I like to get out in the sun and do barefoot walking. Now, you can find something that works for you. Maybe there are some other strategies. If you know of them, let me know in the comments below. But that's how I deal with my stress. Next one on my list, and I'm super excited about this one, is eat meat and lots of it. And not just chicken and fish, which are considered to be the safe sources of animal proteins. I am talking about lots of red meat. Just imagine that red, juicy steak. Yes, that's the one that has the most nutritionally dense content, all kind of amino acids, many of which are not available in the plant sources of proteins. And it has the most bioavailable form of iron. And every fetal cell needs iron for appropriate growth. So eat your steak, eat your red meat, your testes and your ovaries will soak up all those nutrients and will optimize your fertility. And you'll have many other benefits to your health, but we're just focusing on fertility in this video. Now, I know that if you aren't part of the carnivore community, consumption of red meat might sound scary. After all, there were all kind of headlines and news about red meat giving you cancer. I made a whole video about that, about the studies that led to those conclusions. Check it out. I will link it in the description box. But let me tell you this, you can safely consume red meat and your body, your health will benefit from it. I'll tell you one anecdote. A very good friend of mine was dealing with fertility issues for many years, and she and her husband ended up in a Swiss fertility clinic that was employing all kinds of natural strategies. And the very first thing they told her, and her husband eat red meat, eat steak, and lots of it. And my next tip is closely related to red meat consumption, and that is add some organ meats to your diet. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a few ounces once a week will make sure that all your micronutrients needs are met, and these micronutrients are in the most bioavailable form, including some vitamin C. Now, if you aren't on the carnivore diet, and some people even that are on the carnivore diet for years just cannot stomach the idea of eating of organ meats, there is a reasonable workaround, and that is supplementing with desiccated organ meats. There are many different and good brands out there these days. I will link the one that I am using and I'm happy with. I think I was one of the very first customers of this brand. And my next tip for fertility is to give up tea and coffee. I know this isn't an easy one. It definitely was very difficult for me. I was suffering for a month and a half before I could tell that I was free from stimulants. And I used to love tea and I used to love coffee. Now, as I learned, neither one of those was beneficial to my health when it came to autoimmunity and gut permeability that I was dealing with. And removing them from my diet helped me to heal from it. Now, I was still drinking tea and coffee when I was trying to get pregnant with my first child, and it took a lot longer than after a year and a half of not drinking tea and coffee. Getting pregnant was just so much easier. Now, I will share with you another anecdote, so keep in mind it is an anecdote of one case. Again, the same friend of mine that was a patient of the Swiss clinic was also told to stop drinking, especially coffee, and limit tea to improve fertility. Now, if you start researching the influence of coffee on fertility, there are many different studies. Some of them point to the reduced fertility as a result of drinking too much coffee. Some of them are inconclusive, so there is an ongoing debate. But if you are looking to make changes to your lifestyle and diet that will be beneficial to your fertility, I think giving up of tea and coffee, it will be in the category of supporting you with getting pregnant. All right, next one on my list is exercise. Move, exercise. However, if you are a woman, don't overdo it, especially with the weight training. If you engage in too much of weight training, yes, your body will look amazing. You will have beautiful muscles. However, your body will also produce way too many androgenic hormones, and you can disturb that very delicate balance of all the hormones that women work with. And it isn't uncommon for women that are extremely fit to deal with PCOS. Which is known as polycystic ovarian syndrome, which means that you have just too much of androgenic hormones. Now, being fit, especially extremely fit for a woman, does not mean optimal health. So just keep that in mind. Now, I don't want you to think that you don't need to exercise. I do encourage exercise. I exercise pretty much my whole adult life on a regular basis. So that's not what I'm saying. I don't want to be misunderstood here. Just don't go into the extreme of building crazy muscles that you are ripped, because you are likely going to have too many of masculine hormones. Now, this does not apply to men, obviously. Let's talk about what not to do when it comes to improving of your fertility. And let's start with herbal remedies. If you start searching online about herbal remedies for fertility, there will be so many of them. They come as tinctures, as dried herbs, as a supplement. They have all kinds of fancy names. They come from all kinds of exotic places in the world. And they have their function and their place, but they should be used judiciously and for the limited period of time, provided you already optimize your lifestyle and diet. Because herbs aren't nutrients. There are chemical compounds that will catalyze certain biochemical reactions in your body. But those chemical reactions will have to come from the nutrients, and you will need them in your body. And your body has to be saturated with them for herbal remedies to start working. If your diet is poor, your nutrients are just not there, it doesn't matter how much maca you are consuming, your fertility will just not benefit. Okay, other things worth avoiding when it comes to improving of your fertility is those constant juice cleanses, detoxes, celery juice fasts. They're just not useful and not helpful. And if you hear these testimonials that somebody was fasting for 2 weeks and then miraculously got pregnant, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Okay, so let's talk about water fasts, because they are often perceived as a fix-it-all remedy and very popular in recent years, but it may not be so useful doing them when it comes to getting pregnant. And let me tell you why. When you are fasting, you are inducing apoptosis, which is cell death. So all the dysfunctional cells will die, and then you go through the process of autophagy. So your body will break down those dysfunctional cells and use them for energy. But the signal you are sending to your body is that there is famine and there is no food from outside, and so therefore it isn't safe to replicate to have a baby, because there is just not enough food to go around for the two. So you are not helping your fertility if your body is in the continuous state of there is famine. There is famine every couple of months. What you want to signal to your body when it comes to fertility is that there is abundance, there is a plenty of food to go around, and it is safe to replicate and to reproduce. All right, so these are my tips for improving fertility both for men and women. As you probably noticed, there is an underlying theme of saturating your body with evolutionarily most appropriate nutrients for humans, as well as minimizing gut permeability. Why is this important? Well, whether we know it or not, most modern humans will have varying degree of gut permeability, and you don't have to have irritable bowel syndrome, autoimmunity, or leaky gut issues to deal with increased gut permeability that can impair your fertility, because it actually has been already discovered during experiments that some plant proteins, lectins, like to attach themselves to the female endometrium, preventing women from getting pregnant. So optimizing of your diet, minimizing of your gut permeability will also improve your fertility. All right, this will do it for this week's video. If you know of somebody that is trying to get pregnant and they can't quite do it, they don't want to go to the fertility clinic, send them this video. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you in my Friday findings. Bye!